I'm Tom from Red's Radio Controlled Models. Thank you for joining me for the build overview of the Flightline RC 1200mm wingspan Spitfire Mark 9. This Spitfire comes with two different colour schemes that you can choose from, one that is Pierre Clostermann and one that is Johnny Johnson. We'll go over that later when we get to the decals, but it's quite nice that on a Spitfire this size you do get that choice between the two colour schemes. There is a lovely, as you can see, 4-scale propeller at the front, easy access top hatch, and full retracts, split flaps and full control with 9-gram servos around the whole kit. It does feature a scale steerable tailwheel, which makes it very nice for ground handling, and has plenty of forward rake, which means that grass handling is not a problem with this kit. So what we'll do is we'll go over the build with you step by step, just guide you through anything that I pick up. I shall go through that I maybe think needs pointing out. So as with all free wing kits, the first thing that I want to draw your attention to is the instruction manual. It is all completely step by step. It even includes bits in it that you don't actually have to do on this kit. For example, in the Spitfire, installing the tailwheel, and that already comes done with the kit. So the first thing you need to do is to install the wing fillet onto the back of the fuselage just here. So with the free wing kits, you always get a tube of EPO glue. All you do is put it onto the surface of the controls, the thing that you're gluing on. Make sure there's a nice even layer. It doesn't have to be too thick, just thin enough that it will cover all of the surfaces evenly. You can use a lollipop stick or a skewer just to smooth it out. I do use my finger just because I find it a little bit easier to feel where all the excess glue is. So make sure it's on the back edge as well, and on the insides and on the walls. Once you've done that, all you've got to do is just push it on to the bottom of the fuselage, and then pull it back off. This allows the glue on both sides to set. It is a contact adhesive, so you will need to leave it about 90 seconds, and then once you've done that, you pop it back on. And when you do it, just make sure that the back edge of this fits flush with the back edge of here. Otherwise you'll find it difficult to get your wing on nice and square when you come to screw it on. So that's about 30 seconds. I'll just do it just to show you what you need to do. Then you push it on, the glue will be nice and tacky, and then push it down, and there we go, and then you'll see that it's a nice square fit right at the back there and down the sides there. So the next thing to do with the Spitfire is to glue the wings together. You've got two carbon spars which are this length, and once you've put them into the holes just here, you'll feel like an end stop where they won't go any further. You'll then need to add some glue to the front surfaces of the wings here. Don't put any on the carbon spars because you don't need to. Just make sure it's all on here nice and smooth and level, just like you did with the wing fillet. So I've put a cover of glue on the side there. Once you've then put the wing together, the holes are in the same place on the other side. Make sure that your wires on the top are pulled all the way through, and then just push it slowly together. Make sure that none of your wires have got caught in any of the gaps, because that will affect your wing fit. Then once it's together, just turn it over, see if you can see any gaps. There's a couple there. Just push it nicely together. Once that's together, I do recommend now putting in these wing holders, these housey screws. So again, just put a little bit of glue all over the plastic. What this will do is this will help locate the wing in the right position, so you won't end up with a slightly skewed wing when it's on. These are handed, so this one goes at the back into this nice wing slot here, and then the other one goes into the front. If you find that they don't fit, that obviously means that your wing isn't quite pushed together right. And just mess around with it till you're happy with the fit. And then just leave it to dry. It'll only take a couple of minutes to go off, as this is really quick setting glue. The screws will hold the wing on anyway when it's pushed on. So that'll take most of the structural strain. As you can see, that one isn't fitting quite right. If it isn't, just turn it around and hopefully that will help, because they are, there we go, the right way around. And then just leave that to go off. In the manual it says the next thing to do is to screw the wing onto the fuselage. I personally wouldn't do this, as you've got to, when you set up the elevator and rudder, get to the screws in the bottom of the fuselage. What I'm going to do is put the radiators on underneath. I will leave that bit off the front of the wing for the time being until I've got the wing on, just because then I can check the fit on the fuselage itself. With these are really nice. They are handed. If you have a look on the inside, the letter is actually put on the inside of it, and the front edge is plastic coated, so you won't damage those if you do have to do a belly landing, or if you nose it over and they just catch on something, which is a really nice feature. So as with all the other bits, it's using that EPO glue that Freewing provide, just putting them on the bottom. You won't need too much glue for this. Just on there, just on the contact surfaces, and then push it on, and then once it's on, make sure it's fitted nicely, take it off, let it set. Do the same thing for the other side, obviously. Make sure that you've got it the right way around. Small hole towards the back, big hole in the plastic end towards the front. Then once that's started to go tacky, it only takes about 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Push that on to the top here, and then that will stick nice and firmly in place and give you a nice scale finish to the model, like so. So once you've put the radiators onto the wing, next thing to do is to put the elevator halves onto the back of the fuselage. One elevator half will come with the carbon rod pre-installed, and the other half will obviously come without it. There are two locating pins in the back of the elevator halves. This is to locate the elevator so you get a nice equal movement on them, because it is only a one servo working both halves. So what you do, just push it in the side. However, my kit was extremely, and is still extremely tight with the carbon rod. So you just need to get it so it's at exactly the right angle. Just feel it through, twist it a little bit, and then once it goes, you can push it all the way on. Give it a good push, supporting the other side, and once that side's on, you do exactly the same for the other side. So just pushing that on and pushing it together, making sure that the triangle on the inside, they meet together. That'll mean that when it moves both halves together. Once you've done that, on the underneath you have 4 screw holes. One there, one there, and one there, and one there. The screws that you need to use are in a bag with another 4 screws, which are the wing mounting ones. They are the very short 2.3mm wide by 8mm long screws. When you put them in, make sure you don't over tighten them, otherwise you will strip the threads, and make sure that the holes are lined up in the back of the elevators. So I'm just going to do that now, and I'll catch up with you once I've done it. Once the tail is screwed on, the next thing to do is to add the rudder clevis to the steerable tail wheel. On the other side, the rudder connects to the steerable tail wheel, and this side, this one connects to the actual rudder clevis. So use one of the longer rods and one of the white keepers. Put it in the outside hole, twist it round as you would normally would with another control surface, and then the hole is pre-drilled for the outside hole onto the rudder. So I've already made mine fit to length, but you will need to twist them forwards and backwards do it on this side so it lines up with the tail wheel, and then push it together and pull the silicone back. You need to do the same with the elevator. The horn and the clevis are already on, so it's a little bit simpler, but you'll find that the rod is too short. So what you need to do is, on the inside, on the servo, there's a little screw on the top. Loosen that screw off, just a fraction, and then you'll be able to pull this out to the length that you need. My servos came pre-centered, so it makes it nice and easy. And again, the hole on here, it does say into the manual which hole it needs to go into, and it does need to go onto the outside hole of the control surface. So just push it through, make sure it's fitting all the way through nice and tight, and then just squeeze it up. It is a little bit tighter to squeeze up, and then again push that forward. Once you've got that in there, level it out so the rudder is nice and square, then use your screwdriver again in the front just to tighten that up against the rod. Hold it both sides while you do it, and there we go. Do not use any Loctite on that screw. If you want to secure it, use a little bit of thin CA, but only a drop. If you use any Loctite, you will degrade the plastic horn on the servo, and probably after about 20 flights it will snap. Not the sort of thing you want to be doing with the elevator. Next thing to do is to put the horns onto the wing. On the manual, at the top where it says to install the main wing, I've left this until now, just so you don't strip the servos as you're putting everything on the bottom of the wing. And this will mean that the radiators that we put on earlier will actually protect the servos as you're moving the plane around now. The servos will come in their own little slot, so you will need to plug them in and you will need to centre them on your radio just to get them to the position that they need to be in. We found that the manual instructions that are here are right. So the 55mm one, which is the shorter one for the ailerons, does need to go on the second hole on the servo and onto the middle hole onto the control surface horn. And with the flap, it needs to go on the outside on the servo and again onto the middle. We found these to be right, and you do the same as you would with the normal clevises. Put the white bit on and push them on like I did earlier. So once you've done that, the next thing to do is to take the wing and pop it on the fuselage. I've taken the hatch off the top of the fuselage just so I can get the wires through the bottom and into here a little bit easier. All the wire leads I've installed onto here. Everything is pre-labelled up, so it's nice and easy for you to know which one needs to go into which plug. So as you turn it over, you can see underneath obviously where your servos were. The wires need to go right into the front there. You just sit it on its back, turn it over, feed the wires through, making sure that none of them are going to get trapped in between the wing and the wing fence. Once it's on, power it down, pull all the wires through. That will mean that you've double checked to make sure that nothing has got caught, and it should fit nice and snug on there. Just going to pop it back on to save me from catching the edges while I do the rest. Flipping it over again, it takes 4 screws, 2 at the back and 2 at the front. So the next bit to do is to glue everything else onto the wings that is left over. So you've got your chin scoop, that just fits in a slot there. This is why I recommended leaving this till after you've put the wing on. Just sits in the back, and then it also needs to be glued all the way down here. Now you can, if you feel like it, just glue it up to the line. That means that you can still take the wing on and off. However, with a model of this size, it is 1100 wingspan, so it is fairly transportable anyway, even with the wing on and fastened, and with it being EPO foam it will make it nice and sturdy anyway. So the same thing applies with this, just push it on, take it off once it's been pushed on nice and tight, and then just leave that to dry. If you're not happy with the glue coverage, you can just put a little bit extra on, like I will. Not so happy with how that's gone on around the sides. There we go. I'll leave that to dry, and whilst you're waiting for that to dry you can have a look at the other bits as well. In the kit you do have the cannons. They are on two normal plastic bits like that. They are handed, so as per the box top, if you angle them in the right direction, they are handed. So have a look at the manual. They do say in the front left top, left bottom, right bottom and right top. Do the same thing, put some glue on the inside and put it onto the front of the wing. So once the cannons are on and the chin scoops on, there are two things left to put on the kit other than obviously the propeller and the spinner. You've got your aerial and you've got a mirror. So the aerial just slots in the back up here, like that. Now you can glue this in if you want, but it is sturdy enough that it isn't going to fall out mid-flight. The next bit is your mirror. This bit is a little bit more difficult because of where it sits. It's got to sit just above here on there. Now you can use contact adhesive if you like. I wouldn't recommend using CA because CA will fog the foam and also the glass. It will just not make it look quite so nice. So just put a little bit on the bottom there and then just sit it right in the centre of the windscreen. Oops, there. Like that. Again, take it off, let it dry and then put it back on. Right, the next bit that you need to do, obviously once you've got the propeller put together on the hub, is to mount it to the aircraft. On the back of the hub there is a key and that fits over this prop adapter here. So just slide it on, rotate it until it keys in, like that. Then you'll have a washer, and that needs to go on next. And then you'll have your prop nut on the front. Obviously that needs to go on. Just twist it on like so, hand tighten it up. And I'm just going to tweak it up here with something thin. You can use a screwdriver. I'm using a hair grip just because that was the only thing I had laying around closer. There we go, tweaked up. Don't do it too much because you don't want to strip the threads. And then the last thing to do is with your spinner front, push it over the front like so, and there will be a little screw. And this little screw has got a little bit of blue on the front, and this is a dry thread locker. That means it won't corrode your plastics that it's going through until it actually gets squashed into the metal. So it's a nice safe way of keeping it all together. Put it through the front, screw it down. Again, with everything on this kit, as I've said before, don't over tighten anything because you don't want to strip anything. So just tighten it up. So there's a little bit of tension, there we go. And then that is the spinner on. As you can see, a really nice scale sized 4-blade prop. So with this kit from Reds, you get a nice extensive set of decals. You can do two versions. You can do Pierre Clostermann's LOD, which has got the invasion markings on it, or you can do Johnny Johnson's, which doesn't have the invasion markings on. I'm going to go for Johnny Johnson's because I do like that colour scheme a little bit more. But as you can see here, you do have that full complete set of decals on the sheet with all of them that there is, and you also get, which is very very nice, a whole stencil set of very small decals that you can put on if you really want to make it nice and scale. If you don't, you can leave those off. I shall be putting all of them on. And the sheet with all the decals on it, with the Johnny Johnson and the Pierre Costemans, does indicate which place everything goes into, so it is fully comprehensive. So as with all the new freewing transfers, they are push-on stickers rather than water slide, which makes them a little bit more durable. So you'll end up with a transfer that looks a bit like that. There will be a number on the side. Make sure that when you put the transfer on, you do not push down on that number. If you push down on the number, that will actually transfer to the kit. So you just need to focus on the actual transfer that you need off of it yourself. You can cut that out just to make sure it doesn't go on. But as long as you don't push it down, you're fine. So all you need to do is have a look where the transfer needs to go. The panel lining on the actual manual generally fits with the panel lining on the actual thing. Push it on, make sure it's nice and straight where it should be, and then rub it. And just rub it a little bit past where the transfer actually sits down, making sure there's no air bubbles in there at all. Once it's been pushed on, just leave it for a couple of seconds. Leave this edge lifted up where the number is, and then when you go and pull it off, just pull by the corner very gently. You'll end up with the plastic sheet left over, but the transfer nicely stuck onto the airframe. I've had no problem with the new freewing transfers coming off at all. They do stay on very, very well. You can put a coat of varnish over the top if you wish. Will make them that little bit more durable. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put all of the other transfers on the kit, because there are quite a lot, and I'll catch you once I've done that. So as you can see, when she's fully ready and complete, she looks an absolute treat. With the decals all on all the way around, she's an absolute stunner. As I said before, lovely 4-scale blade prop, and the variety of decals that you get with this kit is phenomenal, and the level of detail you want to go with it is completely up to you. You can leave all the small stickers off and just put on the main ones. Obviously take you a lot less longer, and will be a little bit easier to put together. Centre of gravity, I'm using a Design Power 3800 4-cell, and I've got it pushed nearly to the front. There's about half an inch from the front there, and that gets the centre of gravity spot on, which means you could use a slightly bigger pack if you wish, sort of a 4100 Design Power pack, and that would be perfectly fine. If you wanted to use a slightly smaller pack, however, it will mean that you will need to add a little bit of nose weight, which isn't really ideal for this kit, just because you might as well get the flight time out of the batteries, because the scale prop and motor combination will only draw around about 58 amp, 55 amps. So on a 3800 you're looking at around about 6 minutes, 7 minutes flight time, which is absolutely phenomenal for a kit with this sort of performance on 4-cell. All the scale features on it I mentioned earlier, obviously with the antenna, the mirror, and obviously you've got full retracts. Let me just plug it in here on my little, I don't want to plug it in via the battery just yet because I've got the propeller on. So underneath, obviously you've got your scale retracts, which are full metal trunnioned retracts. They're not suspension legs, but they are quite thick 3mm wire, and as I said, obviously full metal, which means that they're nice and sturdy, nice and scale when they're up, with the gear doors nice and flush against the bottom of the wing. And then you've got your scale flap, which is a nice split flap. I've slowed these down a little bit. You see there's full and there's half. That's those up. Obviously you've got full aileron, elevator and rudder. The rudder has a steerable tail wheel, which is very nice, which makes ground handling really easy. So thanks for joining me for the build overview of the Flightline RC Spitfire. As I said, about 1200mm wingspan, lovely scale prop as I went over. You've got the scale flaps, scale tracks, steerable tail wheel, and all the transfers that come with it. This is a lovely model. Just to look at, the scale outline is absolutely perfect. Nice powerful power plant and all 9-gram servos across every surface, so there's plenty of authority. So hopefully we'll see you at the flying field. Thank you for joining us. If you like this video and like to see more, please subscribe, like the video, and if you want any hints or tips, please leave a comment in the bottom of the video. Thank you.